We're joined once again this season by RotoWorld.com NFL draft writer Josh Norris, who's going to help us understand what NFL talent evaluators see, A, when they look at South Carolina, and B, when they look at the Gamecocks' opponents this year. And we'll do it every week again. Josh is kind enough to agree to that, and we appreciate it very much. We'll start, Josh, with the question that's on everybody's mind, Jadeveon Clowney. I feel like we're into the sixth year of Jadeveon Clowney's pro evaluation, and we're so deep into the process, what else do we have to learn? But this is a pretty young college player so far. What does he have to prove this year, do you think? Is it effort? Is it more than that?
No, I'm not sure if there's really anything else he has to prove. He just has to make it to next May, now that the draft's in May. He's completely healthy and everything. But he even admitted to being out of shape last season, which is kind of scary.
Yeah.
And I think you wrote, or someone wrote, that he's up about maybe 5 or 7 pounds, something like that, and he's put on more strength. And just being in better shape will just help him so much more on the field. And I've seen some mentions of a lack of a motor. I didn't see it when I watched him. I saw him chase down plenty of plays from the backside, work ferociously from the pocket when the quarterback stayed in there and forced him outside even. And sure, he might not have made or finished every single play he created, but that's not his job.
Right.
I think that happens with every single pass rusher along any defensive front. Obviously, he's got the size, he's got the length, he's getting even stronger, so he can beat you with pressing at the line of scrimmage, getting you off balance, keeping you on skates into the backfield, and then shedding once you get there. But one thing that I really like is his ability to loop back inside. And that's something that plenty of NFL teams are using now. You look at Aldon Smith out in San Francisco. You look at Clay Matthews in Green Bay. These guys are really viable options, looping back inside with the defensive end, whether it be Justin Smith out there in San Francisco, taking up 2 blockers so it lets the outside linebacker run in free.
Yeah.
I think Clowney can definitely do that. And I mentioned pass rushing outside linebacker, defensive end. He's going to project to outer spot. Every team's going to want him. It just depends on, and we'll probably talk about the number 1 pick later on in the year as we get closer.
Yeah.
Right now, to me, it just depends on if that decision maker, that general manager, whatever, wants a franchise passer, whether it be a Bridgewater from Louisville, or against Marcus Mariota, et cetera, or if they want an undeniable, possible, rare talent. And we haven't seen many of those. Andrew Luck, Calvin Johnson on the defensive side, pass rusher.
Right. That makes sense, and yeah, we will, as we get closer to the actual event, talk about whether he's looking at a number 1 or a number 2 or a number 3 maybe. But as we look at the rest of South Carolina's roster, it's such a small group of draft eligible players, only 4 scholarship seniors, a couple of juniors maybe. I'm assuming that the list after Clowney starts with Chaz Sutton, is that right? And is there anybody else on that list in your mind?
It does. I liked a lot of South Carolina's talent last year. Obviously, I tried to harp on DJ Swearinger almost every single weekend.
Yeah.
I was the big fan of Devontae Holloman as well. But this year really is just Chaz Sutton. But there's something about it I really like. And I know Devin Taylor drew a lot of eyes during the draft process last year. But on the field, I think Chaz Sutton's a better player. At least he was last year. And Sutton showed a lot of versatility. He lined up inside in pass rushing situations as like a 3 or a 5 technique, which is between the guard and the tackle or outside edge of the tackle.
Yeah.
And he should very well. And I'm excited to see him line up as a defensive end every single snap. I'm guessing that's what he is going to do.
Yeah.
He does have some similarities with Devin Taylor in that they're more of straight line athletes, and I'm not sure if they can both bend. But I would like to see Chaz Sutton use that length that I was talking about earlier, that upper body explosion to press, get vision in the backfield, and be able to shed after that. So it's going to be an interesting thing. I saw him work inside as well, split gaps, and get skinny. But I'm really excited to see him because he's kind of that 3rd defensive end last year, 3rd pass rusher, I guess you could say, and now in the full-time row. I think he can really explode and take it to the next level this season.
And moving on, as the season opener is almost upon us here. When you look at North Carolina's roster, I hear or have started to hear this summer a lot about Brennan Renner at quarterback. Is he a guy that's pretty deep on NFL radars at this point, or does he still have something to prove? What kind of player is he?
You know, there was a lot of positive buzz this offseason, mainly from the Maine Passing Academy and some other passing academies along the offseason. You know, on first look, Brennan Renner is kind of just an adequate thrower. But when you look more at it, you know, that UNC offense with Larry Fedora as the head coach, last offseason before he coached the game, he said that huddles were a waste of time. It was moving offensive linemen 12 extra yards per play than you need to, and yada, yada, yada.
Right.
So they do run that up-tempo offense that everyone in the NFL is going to get to know, and obviously at the college level, it's very prevalent. But Brennan Renner is someone who slows down the game once the ball is snapped, and that is a great skill to have when you're working in an up-tempo offense.
Right.
He's very composed. He's very poised. He works through a lot of progressions, which you don't see out of college passers. His accuracy is very good in the short to intermediate game. His timing and anticipation is as well. A lot of people are going to question that velocity and arm strength down the field. And I'm not sure if that is warranted or not. I certainly think he has to put more into it, put more effort into it, and so that I do worry about placement on the edges on those throws. But right now, just his ability to slow the pace down when the ball is snapped, to work through progressions, look poised with his pocket movement,
right.
It's going to really help him, especially against the pass rushers that South Carolina has.
Who else on that Tar Heel roster? This is an opponent that at this point is fairly unfamiliar to Gamecock fans. Who else on that roster is going to catch people's attention in the NFL?
Yeah, I'll just give you three names really quickly. The first is their tight end, Eric Ebron. And this is a guy who used to play some defensive line, really emerged as a nice tight end talent last season. He's got the size and speed that every NFL team will want. He's split out wide in the slot sometimes as a joker tight end. He can play in line as a tight end there. The thing with him is he just has really inconsistent hands, and that's going to really hurt him, especially now that they don't have really their number one focus on offense in Gio Bernard last year. He might need to emerge in that role on passing downs, move in a variety of different places. He's got some nice downfield speed, and teams are going to really like that. But he gets a little bit off balance on his blocking. He seems a very confident guy reading some of his quotes, so hopefully he does work on those aspects of his game. But he's a great talent. Two other guys really quickly on the defensive side. One is Kareem Martin, the defensive end. A couple of years ago, when Quentin Coples was starting, everyone was really high in Dante Page-Moss, if you remember that name.
Yeah.
And Martin actually pushed him to the bench. You know, I think Martin has a bit of an identity crisis. You know, he plays like a smaller pass rusher. He likes to try to dip his shoulder and work around the edge a lot more, and that's not his game. He's got a nice first step, but he's a bigger pass rusher, so he needs to engage more, get some pressure, force the middle of his offensive line of his opponent back towards the quarterback. And I don't think he lacks a motor, but I think he lacks a little bit of toughness throughout the snap. And finally is senior safety Trey Boston, and I think he could be one of the top seniors at his position in the country. He's an interchangeable piece, plays free safety and strong safety near the line of scrimmage and back in the deep pass. I like his quickness and aggression right after he diagnoses the play, but he lacks a little bit of finish at the tackle point. So I think those are the four guys, obviously including Renner, that you need to watch. And I really do think all four have a chance to be drafted next May, maybe even ahead of the fifth round.
Wow, that's impressive, and that's helpful for the rest of us as we get ready to watch that game. Josh, thank you for taking the time, and we'll talk in 10 days or so about Georgia and all of the NFL talent they've got on that roster, it seems, perpetually.
Absolutely.
Thank you.